Yaho. Hello and welcome to the Coffin of Andy and Leyley. Today we'll be playing the infamous love branch of the burial route, better known as the controversial incest route. After having experienced the game in its entirety, I will then move on to breaking down my full thoughts on the game as a whole, together with addressing my personal interpretations of both sides of the current discourse surrounding this game. If you would like to skip to just the analysis portion, feel free to use the timestamps that future me will provide. Once again, I really don't know much at all about what happens exactly in this branch, aside from a very surface level Google search on how to get to this specific end. I look forward to going in more or less blind, so let's get on to it. And I previously replayed a little bit of the game in order to get to this point of I think file 7. Alright, so we are at the part where the game branches into two different sides to the burial route, which would either be the love sub-route or the friendship sub-route. Previously, I got the friendship sub-route, and now we will be doing the specific things to get into the love sub-route. Previously, I did not notice the knife and I didn't pick it up, so I would like to see what happens if I put the knife over here. Nothing? Okay. Enamored evening. Alright. So now, let's put the flower and place it down. Oh. Well, we placed the knife earlier. Does it change anything? No, it doesn't. Alright. Oh. Let's place the flower down. Okay, and the way to get the love sub-route is to put... Got a heart. Finally, you monster. Is to put it... here, heart, and then the broken heart would go here, and then this one, sunshine, would go here. Previously I put sunshine here, broken heart here, and the heart here, and that opened up the friendship sub-route. But now we will be going to this one. Now let's see. Somehow it seems like a highly questionable idea to take this route. I know what I'm about. Cause yeah, we know what we're about. We came for this end specifically. Let's see. Oh. That is interesting. The pink bunny is definitely Ashley, I'm assuming. Let's see. Classmates. So that means Andrew's girlfriend, or ex-girlfriend, was also Ashley's classmate. Because we can see that the yellow bunny over there has freckles. The purple bunny, I suppose would be the one that passed away. And the pink one would be Ashley, right? And this one, friends. Yeah, so they were friends at some point. Oh, there's a key there, so I'll look at it last. This one, parents. So, I suppose. Okay, the face on the Ashley bunny is really funny, but yeah, I suppose it's like Ashley is aware that her mom was really not happy to have her around, or to even give birth to her. Just really sad. Siblings. Got a key. Alright. So. Got a green plushie. Can we put it down? Oh. So we replaced it, the scene with soulmates. Interesting. Parents. Family. Well, this one is sweet. Okay, like, I know it's not gonna be sweet in the long run, but actually it's not even, okay, it's not sweet, but it was like a little aw moment that the baby Ashley felt happy, at least, when Andrew was taking care of her. I don't know. It really puts into perspective the little things that we've seen littered around, of like how much Ashley actually appreciates little gifts and little things. The cupcake reminded me of the little Ashley or Leyley inside Andrew's dream area, where she placed candles on a cupcake and pretended it was a cake. And the way that she treasured that little cupcake so much was, like, I don't know, a bit strange to me at first, because it's not like it's a very special item, but I don't know, if we put into perspective the fact that she might not have received a lot of, like, maybe her birthday wasn't celebrated. Maybe she wasn't celebrated. She wasn't given gifts. She wasn't given anything. I guess the little gifts and stuff that she gets really means a lot. Like how she drank the terrible tasting, like, acid waste soda because Andrew bought it for her and gave it to her because she said she wanted to try that new flavor. I don't know, she does show a strange amount of appreciation for little gifts, especially for someone who is presented to be such a chaotic force of amorality, you know. Let's see. Well, I'll do the other side first. It was friends and... Oh. And this is friends. Alright. Yeah, they're still friends, that's right. I'll look at you later. Siblings. Oh, there's nothing to put over there. Okay. Penny for your thoughts? No deal. Come on, give me one word. Mortifying. All the eyes. I wonder what that symbolizes. Because in the friendship branch of the burial route, there was an eye on Andrew's hand. And also, yes, welcome. It's this CG. We can see the claw marks on Andrew's shoulder and the bite marks on Ashley's shoulder as well. Yeah, you know. Huh, didn't seem like it a minute ago. So, I think you meant to say gratifying. Big words don't fit in your mouth. Yeah? So... yeah? Something else fit in just fine earlier. Don't laugh at that, Andrew. Don't laugh at that. Oh, yes. Oh, mortified, aren't you? You know I'm easy to distract. some guilty conscience you've got. Better than yours. Honestly, I would argue no, not better at all. Not better in the slightest. In fact, arguably worse. I would even go as far to say as I think Ashley has a better guilty conscience than Andrew when it comes down to things. Come here, you. Wait, I don't want to read that. I don't want to read that. The vision ends without you dying. Well, I mean, uncomfortable is an understatement, but it's not like that's the first time this game has made me feel uncomfortable. And also, it's not, well, being uncomfortable is not, it doesn't necessarily mean the game is bad, but before I can fully sort all of my thoughts out, all I can say right now is, yes, I am incredibly uncomfortable. Alright, so at least there's that, you suppose. Well, you wonder if Andrew saw it too. I don't like, okay, like, I don't know. I have such mixed, well, I have such mixed emotions right now. None of these emotions in my mixed emotions are pleasant, just to clarify things, but it is a mix of a lot of things. Mayhaps. Oh shit, you're awake. Well, hello to you too. Yeah, good morning, or evening, I guess, whatever. Right, so, hey, did you get a vision? Probably not. Really? Do you see dreams like that a lot then? I don't. So you did see it. Quite the vision, huh, big brother? That was not a vision. The demon is messing with us. Yeah, that's it. That's just it. It's because we try to be cheap and get 2 visions for the price of 1. So he gave us a fake vision instead. That's the only explanation that makes sense. Oh, please. I mean, it is your trinket. Clearly you were right and I wasn't supposed to see it. Sure, keep selling it. I'm totally buying. Screw you. Yeah, you just might. Fuck off. Do you honestly think that? I don't know. You tell me. Listen here. You fucking spare me. I don't want to hear it. You just helped me desecrate our parents' corpses. Yet getting laid is what you're freaking out about? No one got laid. And you keep telling me I'm messed up. What a joke. We're not like that, are we? I don't know. You just come off that way sometimes. Huh? How so? A tad jealous. Oh dear, what's that? Wishful thinking? Tell that to my ex. Let's not pretend you don't have a bit of a jealous streak yourself. Now that's wishful thinking. Fat chance? Get over yourself. Ugh. I don't think I need to ask you this, but Let me anyway. It's never gonna come to that, right? You and me. Okay, I'm gonna save. Am I allowed to save? Shit, I can't save. Can I save? Is there a way to save? Because according to what I read, it does like branch off a tiny bit. Like there's a very slight different dialogue, which I want to see both. So I guess I'm gonna replay it and get back to you guys. But for now, let's just go all out and say never say never. And later on, we will read back what never says. Never say never, Andrew, my dear. Oh my fucking god. It's not funny. Don't joke about this. Why? Am I getting your hopes up? Or maybe something else? Say, did that vision get you? I'm out of here. Why is this such a massive issue to you? We've done way worse things together. I honestly figured it would happen eventually. Why? Why are you like this? Why would you say this? Why would you think this? Wow, what a landmine, huh? Well, yeah. Ugh, forget this whole thing. Fine, but that was clearly a vision, so it'll probably come up sooner or later. Well, in your last vision, a guy slit our throats, and yeah, here we are. So let's just leave it at that. Alright then, if you say so. Andrew sweeps the elephant under the rug and calls it a day. Anyway, let's go throw Mom and Dad into the ocean. Yeah? I have so many thoughts. So many thoughts, but all of them are like stuck and jumbled up. Hold on. Okay. So, I am currently at a point. Of course, I will repeat all of this later during the analysis itself, because right now I'm talking out of my ass, and for the analysis part, maybe I'll do something different and actually write my thoughts down. So I'll be cohesive for once. Because I usually don't script whatever I say. It's just coming out straight from my brain to my mouth. So, it kind of, well, this entire episode 2 at the very least has given me the impression that contrary to what we saw in episode 1, Ashley does not really romantically like Andy in that way. Nor do I think she actually has any desire to fuck him or be fucked by him. I genuinely do not think that that is her priority or anything that she really fantasizes about. It seems more so to me that her clinginess, her jealousy, and all the touchy-feely stuff that she does, all of the I love yous, are just to keep Andrew around in the way that she knows how to keep people around, because she thinks she has no redeeming qualities, and because I suppose maybe what she sees from the stuff around her, like, oh, my friends, like my so-called friends, the two girls who befriended me, both got taken away by romance with Andrew, or more so, Andrew got taken away by their romantic interests or romantic advances. And regardless of whether it's losing her so-called friends, who probably only befriended her just to get close to Andrew anyway, but whether it's losing her friends or losing Andrew or Andrew's attention, it's all because of romantic love or romantic interest. And I guess it goes the same way with her parents. Like, her parents are presumably still very into each other because they're not very old themselves. They're quite young. They're quite, I presume, sexually active due to the information that Ashley has so generously provided us players with her little quips and inner monologues. But yeah, I guess it could be seen that, oh, my parents prefer each other over me and my brother because, well, they are romantically into each other. So in that sense, it kind of feels like this appeal to the romance aspect of love is the only way that she knows how to get the love that she desires from Andrew. Whereas Andrew, on the other hand, I believe, unfortunately, has the genuine desire to do such things with his sister, Ashley. Is it wrong? Of course it's wrong. Yeah, there's not much to say on that one. Of course it's wrong. Although, granted, in his defense, he does try his best not to act on it. Well, as for further elaboration, I will elaborate in my analysis section of this video, where I have properly sorted my thoughts out beyond the initial discomfort of everything that just happened. Now let's continue to throw our parents' bodies away. How wonderful. Right, do we just go straight out? That might be the case, yeah. But in all honesty, as of right now, I do not currently consider the game worth canceling. Do I find the game does the game make me feel uncomfortable? Yes. Do I think this game should never have been created? No. Do I enjoy this game as a written piece? Probably still yes. Is my opinion objective? Probably not. It's probably subjective based on the fact that I tend to enjoy media that makes me feel strong emotions, whether positive or negative. But yeah, we'll see. I hate you. It's not my fault. The stupid bag ripped on its own. I don't care. Hurry up and pick them up. Nope. Imagine if we didn't. Just go. Can we annoy him some more? No. Alright. Thank God no one is here at this hour. Boom, boom. Okay, so don't stray too far into the light. Just in case someone does pass by. And same old. Andrew drops the bag with the bones and rocks into the ocean. Since my bag broke, how do we make sure the skulls sink? They'll probably be fine. Well, in that case, I bet I can throw further than you. Bet you can't. Oh yeah? Definitely. On the count of 3. 1, 2. Ah! Oh, what's that? Looks like I won. Filthy cheat! Nope, you never said pushing wasn't allowed. Oh yeah? Here's your fucking prize, jackass. A fist to the face. Aw, a hug. Why, thank you. Thank you. You're a little different lately. Am I no fun anymore? More like, let me think. How have you been sleeping lately? Are you actually looking for a fight? I'm not talking about that. I mean, just in general. Your insomnia and nightmares. How are those? It's been decent, all things considered. Yeah. Unexpectedly, you seem to be doing just fine. Well, don't be happy for me or anything. Andy is all grown and doesn't need me anymore. Andy is dead. I don't think he needs anything. Even so, there's the trinket too. You're apparently the only one to use it, so there's that. I don't know about that, but it certainly showed me one way to keep him around. No. 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 No, don't say that. That's just sad. That's just so sad. I suppose. Right, I'm honestly pissed we don't know what's coming next. It's really hard to plan what to do now. Alright, so what do we do? The money has brought us some time, but we still need to find ourselves new identities. Do we really though? Can't we just live in the car and mug random people for a living? That's just not gonna work for very long. Every time we try our luck, we're more likely to get caught. Then, can't we buy fake identities? I know people do that sometimes. Point me to the guy who sells them and I'll get right on that. The cultist club seems like a really sketchy spot. Maybe someone there knows someone who sells them. Probably not though. Stop being such a defeatist. Let's go take a little look-see. It's a crap idea to go anywhere near where we killed that guy. Also, that motel was the only one letting us stay with cash only. Fine, but we're leaving the car in some random parking lot, since there's definitely an ongoing investigation for that hitman's death. Right, cool, whatever. Let's get going. I had a mole here. Are you coming or what? In a minute. Let me finish this. Waste of time and money. I love it. I'm glad to hear it. And what is the symbolism of that eye? End of episode 2. Want to save the game? I guess I'll save the game, yeah, in file 8. You can continue here once episode 3, Burial, has been updated. I wonder whether episode 3, Burial, will be affected based on whether or not the branch of the burial route was the friendship branch or the love branch. I really hope it will be, because I do think there's a substantial difference. But yeah. Anyways, let me go to retrieve or try and get the other ending. Oh, not the other ending, but the other dialogue. Yes. So I'll be right back. Alright, so we are back at this area to see the dialogue option for Never. Nah, thank God. Although it sincerely doesn't matter to you one way or the other. It only matters that he's around. Always around. So, should he be open to such endeavors? Should he be open to such endeavors? So, should he be open to such endeavors? You'd have no qualms about indulging him. What stronger leverage is there than that? But since he has a better head on his shoulders than you, it's pointless pursuit. If anything, him being so unwilling would tip the odds in his favor. So forget it. What a warped sense of humor that demon has. Well, it got its point across. No freebies. And that vision had better not cost us a real one. Well, whether it did or didn't, there's at least one more vision left. Well, either way, now that this little debacle is past us, want to go throw our parents into the ocean? Absolutely. Let's go. Alright, and I'm gonna assume everything else from here on is the same. So, that gave us a very interesting insight and also confirmation on how Ashley probably is only open to sexual acts with Andrew because she thinks it's the best way to keep him around. Which is really sad. But yes, that was the love branch of the burial route, and I will get back to you with a proper analysis and breakdown of the entire game, episodes 1 and 2 of The Coffin of Andy and Leyley, in a little bit. Just let me sort my thoughts out and maybe write some notes. I don't know. I'll see you in a short while. Welcome to the analysis section of this video. Today we'll be breaking down the entirety of The Coffin of Andy and Leyley. This will be the rough list of stuff I'll be talking about in this order. First, what is The Coffin of Andy and Leyley? What happens in it? The beginnings of Andrew and Ashley Graves. Ashley in episode 1. Andrew in episode 1. My thoughts on episode 1. Breaking down the character of Ashley Graves as of the current episode 2. Breaking down the character of Andrew Graves, again, as of the current episode 2. Thoughts on the dynamic and relationship between Ashley and Andrew. Thoughts on episode 2 and its endings. And my overall thoughts on the discourse as a whole. So let's begin. The Coffin of Andy and Leyley starts off in an apartment, lived in by two siblings, Andrew and Ashley. We learn that they are currently being quarantined, much like everyone else in the building, due to something about water contamination, which may or may not just be a ploy for organ harvesting anyway. Episode 1, which focuses on their escape from the apartment building, features a demon-summoning cultist neighbor, whom they later end up eating for sustenance, some guards, and a pretty tenant downstairs, all of which end up dying by the hands, or indirect hands, of one or both of the siblings. They manage to escape in the end, and Ashley even comes out of the whole situation with a handy-dandy trinket that lets her see prophetic dreams. Cool. Episode 2 entails their survival plan after having escaped from the apartment, now with an assassin on their tail. They live off of meager savings in a crusty hotel room, murder their assassin, obviously, plot to rob their parents, and wind up orphaning themselves in a very intentional case of whoops, just fed our parents to a demon. They then dispose of the bodies, but not before Ashley takes a nap to see if the trinket gives her any insight into the future. Though the content of that portion is largely dependent on the choices we make in the game, so we'll cover that later. Now, who exactly are Andrew and Ashley Graves? Let's start from the beginning, like sperm and egg type of beginning. Offsprings of the pushover simp Mr. Graves and the more domineering Mrs. Graves, Andrew and Ashley were born into a highly neglectful, unprepared teenage parents type of household. Mrs. Graves was 15 years old when she gave birth to Andrew, and deeming him to be more or less self-sufficient, decided that having one more kid 2 years later wouldn't yield that severe of a consequence. And out popped Ashley, the one who'd soon prove her totally wrong. In the end, Andrew was left to take care of the young Ashley, whom her mother very quickly branded as a difficult child. With their parents being generally busy and largely neglectful, the siblings were more or less left to their own devices growing up. Ashley, as we've seen in episode 1, was confident, expressive, and snarky, with morbidly dark humor and barely any indication of remorse or a sense of morals. She's clingy and touchy towards her brother, Andrew, with a mean, jealous streak and an openly expressed desire to be the only one for him. She's carefree and upbeat, even in the face of violence and crimes, most of which are instigated by her and carried out by Andrew, who shoulders the brunt of the heavy work. Throughout the first episode, she's painted to be the one in control, manipulating the seemingly unwilling and guilt-ridden Andrew into bending to her every will. She pushes his buttons, tests him, baits him, and molds Andrew into Andy, the soft, fluffy marshmallow pushover brother who has no choice but to be all hers. Andrew, as we see in episode 1, carries himself in a way that's contrasting of Ashley. Her confident and outspoken nature is nearly opposite to his more overthinking and brooding demeanor, though they're not all too different when it comes down to it, with how Andrew does display the same genre of dark humor as Ashley does, having a tendency to be genuinely tickled by some of her morbid jokes in quite a few inappropriate situations. Unlike the unremorseful Ashley though, Andrew of episode 1 can be seen reacting to various situations of violence and murder with the more expected reaction of fear, distraught, and remorse. We see the way he hesitates, falters, and submits to the will of Ashley, becoming what's painted to be an accessory to her crimes, more or less. He has nightmares and had trouble stomaching the cooked human meat when it was first presented to him. We see him as the tormented, the manipulated, the one who had no choice and no other way but to follow along with Ashley's every whim. She was the one who coerced him to kill their childhood friend who had a crush on him. She was the one who harassed his girlfriend into breaking up with him. Ashley has the control, and his only wrong was that of bending so easily to her will, of being a doormat. My thoughts on episode 1 at the time of playing it back in April was that if the game came off as making cannibalism, incest, murder, or Satanism appealing, or even the relationship between Andrew and Ashley is anything romantically desirable, then that just goes to show how alluring Ashley's viewpoints are, in a sense. We're seeing things through a narrative style similar to her own energy, viewing interactions with more focus on the humorous side, following the mood set largely by Ashley, leading the flow and pace. So if players find themselves swept into her darker preferences, or likewise, if players feel like the game is advertising her darker preferences, then to me it just goes to show how attractive she's able to make these things seem. All the more so to Andrew, who not only lives in the same physical realm as she does, but has also grown up alongside her. No wonder he finds it so hard to say no. No wonder he's been manipulated all this while. And no wonder he feels so drawn to her despite the repulsion. It felt like a story with a clear power imbalance. It felt like a tragic tale of codependency, where one party was in control and the other was at a complete loss of it. But of course, now that we've all seen episode 2, we know that that isn't really the case anymore. Ashley Graves, as we come to learn, isn't all confident and indestructible. Showy, sassy, sharp-tongued and callous for sure, but beneath all that lies a girl who is more than aware of how unpalatable she is to others, and who, instead of changing that, seems to think of herself as irredeemably annoying and undesirable. Ashley knows that she's loud. She knows that she's difficult to be around. She knows that she's weird and annoying. She was taught that from the very beginning, from the way she was never included in whatever semblance of bonding moments her family had, the way her mother gave up so quickly on taking care of her, to the way her only 2 friends probably only befriended her to get close to her brother anyways. Ashley knows she's hard to like. So much so that she thinks the only way to get the one person who ever cared to stay is to threaten him. Ashley is so sure that Andrew, the only one who, from her own mouth, gave a shit, will leave her in favor of other people. She has no faith or security in the fact that he'd stick around with her if he had any other options available. And her first instinct isn't to stop pushing his buttons. Nope. It's to eliminate every possible external competition. With the death of Nina, their childhood friend, she has to remind him of how horrible of a person he was for contributing to Nina's death. And that now, if anyone were to find out, they would realize that he's equally as unlikable as her. For her only reassurance came from bringing Andrew down to the level of unwanted she perceived herself to be. And even when Andrew is left with nobody else but her, it just isn't enough. Ashley needs more reassurance, testing Andrew or pressing him until he gives her the affirmation she needs to feel at ease, even if just momentarily. Little gestures like buying muffins for her on her birthday when presumably nobody cared to celebrate it, or buying her a canned drink she talked about wanting to drink. The level of which she cherishes these little gifts may seem uncharacteristic at first, but when we really think about it, it makes a whole lot of sense. The way she places candles on her muffin, pretending it's a cake, not wanting to eat it just so her treasure will last just a little bit longer. The way she'll force down toxic soda tasting of acid just because it was a gift from Andrew. Because, yeah, she constantly seeks that kindness, that reassurance. She'll cling on to anything that bears even the faintest semblance of warmth, teasing and twisting and manipulating her way into getting it if she must, even if it won't last very long. It's like filling up a bucket with a hole in it. She'll continue to grasp for those little signs of assurance because there really wasn't a foundation of security to begin with. Andrew can never fully be hers or her possession, and she doesn't have enough self-love to ever believe that she's worth staying around without any form of leverage dangled over his head. And Andrew Graves. Oh God. Andrew Graves is a liar. To everyone around him, and most terrifyingly, to himself. Through the entirety of episode 1, we've only exclusively seen Andrew through the eyes of Ashley, the soft, doormat of a guy, ridden with guilt and paranoia when awake and tormented by nightmares when asleep. The one with morals, the one with a clear sense of what's right and wrong, and the one who's capable of feeling remorse. Is that even the case? Is his fear rooted in the guilt of his actions causing hurt and harm, or is it born from the fear of consequences, that being a life separated from Ashley? Does his resistance to Ashley's whims carry any weight, when he seems to enjoy most of their antics and possesses the physical advantage to deny her the adventure she seeks? Of course, this isn't to deny the effects persuasive words can have on a person. Though Ashley can't make him do anything, her words could certainly manipulate him into doing so. But is he really following her unwillingly? There's so much we don't get to see about Andrew, given how a large majority of the game as a whole so far is spent in Ashley's shoes. Even his nightmares, as we come to learn, may not be as frequent or as severe as he paints it to be. A suffering he plays up to be able to sleep on the same bed as Ashley. And when we look back, despite Ashley initially seeming like the one in love, or the one who's obsessed, what's with his inner thoughts about wanting to pull this broody bitch into his arms and force her to stay until she smiles? What are the other thoughts he wished he'd never had? Why did he want his girlfriend to tie her hair up just like Ashley did? Why does he want to pull on it? And why does he say pulling a girl's hair is a sign of love? Why is his hand there? We can see pretty clearly from the events of episode 2, especially thanks to the insight into Andrew's inner thoughts, that yes, Andrew does in fact feel attraction to his sister. He knows it's wrong, and that's why he's actively trying so hard to push those thoughts away. And for that, I suppose we can't exactly ignore his efforts and fault him entirely. Because yes, Andrew Graves is a liar. Just as Ashley compartmentalizes, Andrew deceives, and he's good at it, lying immoral feelings into non-existence. Because Andrew Graves is a capable son, self-sufficient and responsible for caring for his sister. A good brother, one who shrinks away from his sister's physical advances and turns them down. Doesn't feel any attraction to her in that romantic way. No, totally not. A moral person, someone who feels guilt and remorse, haunted by nightmares in the aftermath of all the atrocities that, surely, he was forced to do. After all, why would the perfect son, good brother, and moral guy that is Andrew Graves ever commit such acts, if not for the fact that he was just too soft of a guy, too much of a pushover, and just a doormat? Never mind that he's equally as capable of making morbid jokes. No, it's not his fault that he's just so easily distracted. Never mind that he's capable of coldly, calmly cutting someone down and dismembering them. Never mind the unremorseful way he's able to look back on his murders, because, no, surely those were all done because of Ashley. Because he had to clean up after Ashley's mess, following the natural consequences brought upon by solely Ashley's choices. Even for less legal things like being broken up with, Andrew's main issue with his breakup isn't the loss of his relationship with Julia, nor is it the fact that Julia, the girl he's supposed to be in love with, had been threatened, tormented, and harassed endlessly by Ashley's voicemails and letters. Nope. His main gripe was, I really don't see why I should be held accountable for... When it comes down to things, it's all about accountability. Andrew wants to be a good person, a moral person by society's standards, and whether he wants to be seen as such by others or whether he cannot personally accept a version of himself that isn't is up to interpretation, I suppose. But the active effort is there regardless, to shrink from responsibility and to evade accountability for his actions. Which now brings us to the relationship and dynamic between Andrew and Ashley Graves. Andrew needs to reject Ashley. He needs to hate Ashley, to be driven insane by her. Andrew needs to feel tormented by her ideas, to be repulsed by her advances, because otherwise, wouldn't that be as good as admitting that he's just like her? That he's equally as messed up in the head, equally as immoral, equally, if not more so, filled with desires that just wouldn't be becoming of the good person he presents himself to be. Ashley, on the other hand, needs Andrew to accept her, to affirm her, to be with her, and to soothe her insecurities. Ashley was never shown any semblance of what it meant to have a stable relationship with anyone, be it in terms of family or friends, much less anything more. In the first place, I don't actually believe that Ashley has any romantic feelings or attraction towards Andrew, contrary to how she behaves. What Ashley desires from Andrew is company, acceptance, and love, but not necessarily romantic love. She doesn't have any objections against fucking him, no, going so far as to say she thought it'd just wind up happening someday. She's fine with it happening, if that means Andrew will stay. She doesn't lust for such scenarios, but she knows it's probably an effective card to play if she wants to keep Andrew around. Romantic love was probably the most prominent form of companionship that Ashley was exposed to. The way her friends seemed to prefer Andrew over her because they were romantically interested in him. The way her time with Andrew felt like it was going to be taken away by him getting into a relationship with them. The way her parents, who love each other and are probably still pretty sexually active, chose happiness with each other over working for happiness as a family. The way romantic love and lust and infatuation have always been the means to draw someone close, taking people away from her. Ashley doesn't have a clear distinction between platonic, familial, or romantic love. She wants absolute devotion because she'll never be secure or at ease with the knowledge that Andrew can, at any time, leave her for a better option. She sees having more than one person in your life, even if they're just friends, as cheating. But Andrew is different. He knows the distinction, and he knows his desires are wrong. His recoiling, blushing, and lashing out are all indicators that yes, the idea of him and Ashley in a romantic context is a landmine. It's a source of guilt, or at the very least conditioned guilt, on the basis of him logically knowing that his desires goes against societal values. Andrew wants Ashley, and beyond the physical and romantic attraction, he needs Ashley. He needs her to be the devil on his shoulder, the one pushing him to do all these things he would never have had the excuse to do. And he's selfish about it too. While Ashley wants Andrew all to herself, she's in turn more than willing to give all of herself to him. Not that that's healthy, but it's fair equivalents at the very least. Andrew, on the other hand, is greedy. He wants Ashley, sure, but he wants to have others around too. He wants her to be his, but will never fully become hers. Andy is dead. And did he even exist in the first place? The Andy that Ashley thinks she can read, the one she has control of, the one she's sure will never leave her. So long as there's Andy, there'll always be Andy and Leyley. But if it's just Andrew and Ashley though, she isn't sure. And yeah, he's given her no reason to be sure of anything. As much as Andrew has to dramatically overplay his praise for her to give her any form of a kick, he has never once addressed Ashley's insecurities at its core. In fact, he identifies them, rubs them in her face, all the while giving her the sweet words she wants to hear. In a way, whether intentional or not, isn't that the same as how Ashley would run him down in order to be the only one who will truly accept him? So, no. When it comes down to it, I don't believe that the relationship between Andrew and Ashley is a healthy one in the slightest, be it as family or as romantic partners. They're both incredibly messed up, dealt the worst cards and placed in the shittiest of situations. They are terrible for each other. Leaving their codependency to fester is only going to make it worse. But at the same time, just in the context of this game, they're so far gone to the point where it really does feel like their only semblance of happiness or solace can come from perpetuating that toxic cycle of codependency. Which brings us now on to the endings. There are two main endings, dependent on the trust that Andrew and Ashley have for each other. The decay route is triggered if Ashley decides that she can't trust Andrew to be alone with their parents, or if Andrew decides to accept his mother's olive branch, essentially betraying Ashley. The burial route is triggered when both siblings place their trust in each other, with Ashley trusting Andrew to be alone with their parents, and Andrew in turn rejecting his mother's offer to start afresh without Ashley. Now, of course, in the context of the whole Andrew is a liar bit we've got going on, the decay route would be one where Andrew continues to lie to himself and others, pushing all the blame onto Ashley and growing to believe in his own farce. That, yes, he's just a doormat, and it's all Ashley's fault for driving him to the point of no return. He wants her dead, and he wants himself dead. He hates her, and he hates the situation that he's in. In the burial route, naturally, would be the one where Andrew is finally honest with his desires, whether for better or for worse. He no longer hides behind the facade of remorse and hesitance. He's bolder in his advances and more level-headed, far less guilt-ridden and spineless than he used to appear. The burial route has two further branches, the friendship sub-route and the romance, or incest, sub-route, affected by Ashley's choices in the interpretation of her dreamscape. So, altogether, that gives us three branching ends. When we look at it on the surface, we have an ending where Andrew decides that being with Ashley is unhealthy, and expresses the desire to break free from the codependent relationship. We have an ending where Andrew falls deeper into the relationship and decides he doesn't hate the position he's currently in, doing crimes of Ashley. And then there's the end where Andrew not only affirms that he likes where he is, but also potentially sleeps with his sister. Any sane person at this point would then go on to think, oh, well, obviously decay, the one where Andrew wants to break the cycle of codependency, is the good end. And yeah, logically speaking, it probably is the most hopeful step to take if their main goal is a journey towards healing. But then, why is it that the decay route is the absolute most gloomiest end to play through? The tension is thick, and whatever little amount of trust and security the siblings had is gone. Andrew wants Ashley dead and gone, and Ashley just wants to be wanted. It was the most uncomfortable to play, if we're talking about the collective amount of time spent with a sad, sinking pit in my stomach. It doesn't help that there's no humor to cushion it at all either. which probably just means I've been conditioned to rely on little bits of funny ha-has for escapism, just as the siblings have. And then there's burial, the one where no effort is made towards becoming better by society's moral standards, nor any effort made towards self-love or improvement. Of course, the incest branch is uncomfortable in its own way, but for the friendship branch, I even caught myself thinking, oh, this is probably the true ending, right? It's the happiest one. And really, if we're comparing all the three endings individually, the most condemned one, the incest branch, is the one with the most lighthearted and humorous end. Or, well, as lighthearted as a competition of who can throw their parents' skulls further into the ocean can be, but still. Throughout the game, we've been walking through these situations in the shoes of Andrew and more so Ashley. We felt how they truly only have each other in this world, supplemented by their own actions, of course, but it's not like the baseline they were born into really gave them any form of support either. Their actions are wrong. Their thought processes are wrong. Their ways of coping are wrong. From the perspective of people who have been brought up by this world's values, of course we know that. But when it comes down to it, what do they even owe their world? Their shitty upbringing, being placed up for literal organ harvesting, having an assassin on their tail. If they had followed the morals and values of the world as we know it, their organs would be on the black market by now. They would never have left the apartment at all. And then again, does it excuse the other things that they've done? Does it excuse the cannibalism beyond the first arguably necessary instance of needing sustenance? Does it excuse the excessive inclination to solve every problem with violence? Of course not. But to some degree, it's a bit hard to fault them for responding to a harsh world with harshness. And the discourse, the controversy, the incest. Should Andrew and Ashley be shipped? In my personal opinion, definitely not. But I suppose I do have to admit that it struck me as odd that the largest issue people have about the ship is the incest aspect of it. The overarching toxicity and codependence feels like the larger overarching reason for why it's in both their best interests to not be together, right? This isn't to say that I don't find the CGs with skinship uncomfortable or that I'm unfazed by the dialogues laden with implications. Naturally, it's awkward to read and awkward to see, but whether or not the game romanticizes or fetishizes incest is understandably up for debate. I can kind of see where both sides are coming from in this instance, because yeah, there are CGs aplenty, and the devlog sneak peeks do fan the flame sometimes. But then there's also the point about perspectives, that of course, Andrew who feels attracted to his sister will have his focus on certain things, or that, of course, Ashley whose mind is so geared up on the concept of sex appeal as a card will see things in a certain way too. See the way her first thought about bids or the fact that her parents probably do the dirty on them, or how she'll notice things like sexy underwear and kinky ropes. I talked with my friend about the matter, together with a lot of other stuff like the reason why incest is immoral in the first place, and ultimately came to the conclusion that just because something isn't the worst thing ever, doesn't mean it isn't uncomfortable. So yeah, just because I personally feel like the toxicity of codependency is worse than the incest aspect doesn't mean it's unreasonable or invalid for others to be made more uncomfortable by the incest. Everyone has aspects that stands out to them more in the consumption of media, and it would be unfair to assume that my own stance on it is the only correct one. Not that I really think that there's a specific, singular, correct way of viewing this topic anyways. The basis that drives the discourse is, much like a lot of controversial topics, a very gray line. The absolute shit show, in my opinion though, are some of the people arguing for each side. Granted, I'm sure this doesn't apply to a large majority of people, since it probably just stands out more because of how boisterously loud some people are when being vocal about topics, but I think the extreme ends are a bit silly. The people who brand everyone who plays or enjoys the game as incest likers who probably get off on the content, or labels them as bad people for supporting the creator. The people who fight back by going, "Ooh, hot mommy Ashley, incest is wincest," as if that's doing any justice to the narrative of the game that they're supposedly trying to support. And as for the creators' way of handling the discourse, well, they don't have any social media presence. Honestly, hats off to them for that. It probably does wonders for their mental health. Whether or not I think cry about it is a tasteful response to the whole chatterfest is, well, okay, I honestly think it's pretty funny. But that's just me, and I'm not a saint either. In general, I just think that in any kind of controversy, there's a valuable opportunity for discussion. It's not like my friend and I had the exact same opinions on the matters we discuss either, but there's just such great value in listening to opinions of people outside your own echo chamber. You can totally disagree with people's opinions without thinking that they're absolute scum on earth. And you can be their friend too. So, yeah, in the spirit of discussion, feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on the characters, on the game as a whole, on the different branching ends, or heck, even the morality of incest if you want to break it up that much? I don't think I should be rambling about whether incest is contingently or intrinsically wrong here, because that's a whole other topic that I'm also not the most educated on, but hey, if anyone wants to ramble about it down below, I'm all ears too. So yeah, that brings me to the end of the ramble/analysis section of the Coffin of Andy and Leyley. Overall, I personally really enjoyed the game and really enjoyed the fact that it gave me the opportunity to do so much talking and rambling about this topic as a whole. If you've watched this far, thank you so much. And if you've watched every single episode leading up to this part, thank you so much, times 2. But yeah, I'm really excited to see the comments of what you guys think as well, if you happen to want to bless me with your thoughts. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye bye.